Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching Riff with Cliff. In today's video, I figured I would kind of show off my collection of really cool guitars and some really interesting gear that I have amassed over the years of working at a high-end independent guitar shop. I've really collected some cool collectible stuff. Now, you can see most of these guitars that I use in various videos on my YouTube channel and different how-tos or demoing different pedals or whatnot. I don't really know where I'm going to begin with this video, so I figured I would just kind of go through from what I bought most recent all the way to, well, some stuff that I've owned for 10 plus years. Let's get started right away. Okay, so my latest acquisition is actually this ESP E2, which I only bought recently, and I actually had to trade two guitars away from my collection in order to get this one. This guitar is a guitar that I've been trying to get for several years now, and they have become increasingly more difficult to get new since COVID happened. Now, you can sometimes find them on reverb.com, pre-owned or whatnot, but I usually like to play the guitars that I'm buying first before I make the purchase. This one finally made it into the guitar shop, and I figured, you know what, I'm gonna trade some guitars in for it, and I actually let go of my reverse flying V, my Gibson reverse flying V, and my Gibson Corvus, which were two awesome guitars that I had in my collection. Of course, I wish in my heart that I still had them, but there's another reason that I need to kind of consolidate some gear is I have a son who is on the way. He's not born yet, but he's due in November, and I'm kind of consolidating gear because this room right now may actually become the baby room, and I might be building a separate studio somewhere else. So yeah, had to get rid of a couple, but in the midst I got to get this ESP E2, and it does have a Floyd Rose, and just for shits and giggles, I'll plug it in real quick just so you can hear how epic it is. Check this out. So yeah, there is the E2, one of my newest additions and a fantastic guitar. Okay, the next guitar that I'm going to show off is actually this Gibson Les Paul. So when Gibson SGs first came out, they were actually called Les Pauls, if you did not know, and this one is an Olympic white that's kind of faded to this kind of yellow over time. And this was actually a gift from one of my best friends, Mr. Skyler. Now, I don't know if you've been a longtime watcher on my channel, but I actually bought Skyler a Rickenbacker. He's the bass player in our band Quasimojo, and I bought that for him for a wedding gift. And a couple of months ago, he actually ended up buying me this guitar as a gift. So now it's like I guess like a running gift thing. Like we're just gonna keep gifting each other really nice guitars and stuff like that. Thank you so much, Skylar, for giving me such an awesome gift. Not one that I am really too keen to play out because it's so nice and now it's very sentimental and near and dear to my heart, but it just looks so damn good, doesn't it? It just looks so good. I love this guitar. Thank you again, Skylar. Number 3, here is another Gibson Les Paul, but this one is obviously an SG. It's a 1961 reissue, and this is one that I have nicknamed Fiona, by the way. I do name all of my guitars. I haven't named the ESP yet, though, so if you have any ideas for a name, please let me know in the comments. I'm totally interested to hear what you might think. But this one was one of the first, if not the first, custom shop purchase that I made at Replay Guitar Exchange. I really, really liked it because it's a unique piece. This was a special guitar, apparently, that was made for St. Louis music, and this color is actually called Pelham Blue, even though it looks like this kind of like a Shrek green, so that's why I call this guitar Fiona. Pelham Blue actually fades over the years to this kind of color, and you can kind of see some of those online if you take a look. One of my favorite things about this guitar is the fact that it has a stinger. So if you don't know what a stinger is this black painted headstock on the back that comes to this point down here, and it just looks absolutely wicked. It has some actual checking just from time. Like I said, it's a Les Paul, so it's like a 1961 reissue, and I am probably going to do a video just showcasing just this guitar by itself. Let me plug it in and see what this one sounds like. Okay, this is my all-time, my number one favorite guitar that I own. So this is called the Gibson SG Zoot Suit, and this thing is super heavy. It is basically a bunch of layered woods that are like scrap wood from Gibson that they've glued together. So this guitar is actually a lot of glue, and you can see here on the back too, it does have this kind of crazy Stratobond neck that has kind of worn down over the years of just me playing the shit out of it. I have put so many hours on this guitar, played hundreds of shows on this guitar. When these came out, nobody actually wanted them. They were kind of like ugly, I guess. A lot of people just thought that they were an ugly instrument. The reason that I had to get this guitar in the first place was because my Gibson SG Special was stolen from me at a gig when I went to go move a 412 cabinet into my car from the stage. Instead of putting my Gibson SG Special into the car first, I moved the 412 cabin. When I came back, my guitar was gone. So I was guitarless, needed to get an SG, and this was the one that I ended up picking. I love the pickups. This guitar is, it's mean. I do a lot of videos and a lot of stuff with this guitar because I just identify with it so well. Here's what it sounds like. One of my favorites, if not my all-time favorite. The next guitar that I'm showing off in this video is this Custom Shop Tele. Now this is a very interesting and unique Telecaster because it is red sparkle, which I am a big fan of. I'm a huge fan of red guitars in general because I think that they look really cool on stage and in video. They kind of just pop. You can see it is a relatively heavy relic. So relicking is when Fender wears the shit out of their guitars and they make it look like they're old and they've been played a lot. And this one has been played a lot because I play it a lot. And this one also has a pretty prominent V neck, which is my only guitar that has that, and also my only guitar with a maple fingerboard. So when I want that spank and that kind of twang, I'm able to get that Tele twang just because it's just a unique instrument. Here's what this one sounds like. Here's what this one sounds like. Why'd I say it like that? Even though I'm mostly a humbucker guy, this one does the trick. Here's another really cool and interesting guitar. This guitar is called the ES Les Paul, or the Les Paul ES, and it has two P90 pickups. This gives me another unique pickup configuration. I recently just did a video on this guitar here, also kind of demystifying the P90 pickup because I think often the P90 is underrated. It's a single coil pickup, but this one especially is unique because it has that open warmth of a hollow body sound in a smaller size shaped guitar. Like it's just a Les Paul shape, right? On the back, it is a dark back, but you can see the wood grain through it, or I hope you can in this video. If not, I might just adjust the exposure up a little bit just so you can see it. But this is a unique guitar. How I got this guitar was traded in from the guy who used to play in a little band called Tower of Power, believe it or not. And he really enjoyed this guitar, but I guess he just wanted to trade it in for something else. And so I took it as an opportunity to get it for myself. Okay, my other Gibson Les Paul, which is a unique beast. Okay, so there's a little bit of a story behind this one. This is actually a Peter Green replica. Before they were doing the Greenie replica, this one's actually dated from 2007. It's also a very, very lightweight guitar, maybe around 6 pounds. And it does this really cool thing that the Peter Green model does. I just threw my tuner for some reason and it dropped on the floor. If you go to the middle position, it is actually out of phase between the two pickups until you put the volume up. Then you can hear the humbucker come back in and it gives it this kind of weird choked single coil out of phasey kind of tone. It is fantastic and one that I will likely never get rid of because it is just unique and cool and I love it very much. So listen to this. Here is that out of phase single coil thing I'm talking about. I'm in the middle position, or position in between the two pickups, with this all the way up, and it has this single coil choked sound. Which I'm a big fan of that sound. But I can actually move this knob back just a little bit, and now you're going to hear like a whole humbucker sound. And what I'll do so you can really hear it, I'll hold an A chord and then I'll turn it back so you can actually hear it shift with the humbucker. So cool, you can actually hear that bucking of the hum come. Bucking of the hum come? Bucking of the hum come. Sounds kind of dirty. Here's another really cool one in my collection. This is my Gibson Explorer. It's called the Big Ugly Thing. That's what I call it, the Big Ugly Thing. Even though it's really not ugly, it's actually a beautiful instrument. This thing is just a giant piece of mahogany. I think it's 3 pieces of mahogany put together, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So I started playing one and I was like, but then I kept going back to this guitar, this particular one. It just had some mojo, and I kept grabbing it, and eventually I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy this thing, and I'm really glad that I did, because it is a really cool guitar, and because it is this just giant piece of mahogany, it's really warm and toneful, and it just has a lot of zazz, if you will. Here, I'll plug it in real quick so you can hear it. So earlier in this video, I talked about how my most prized possession was my Zoot Suit SG, but this one is actually my most prized possession in a guitar that I play, arguably just as much as the Zoot Suit SG. This one is my custom built guitar that I call my Poppy guitar, because I actually built it with my grandfather, my Poppy. And this is a very sentimental, near and dear piece. And a lot of people tell me that it has these PRS vibes, which I take that as a complete honor, because when I made this with him, I was 17 or 16, and I had no idea what PRS, Paul Reed Smith guitars, were at that time. I only cared about Gibsons, to be honest with you, specifically the SG, the Zoot Suit, really, which is the only other really guitar that I played. Take a look at the headstock here. You can see that we put this kind of flower decal in there, and then at the top it does have my initials, CF. There's no doubt about it. This is my guitar. On the back of it here, there's also, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little plate here that says custom built. It does have a bit of wear, which is unfortunate, but I'm actually not too sad about it, because I play it a lot, and you know, wear happens when you play it. Some people care so much about wear on their guitars, but it's going to happen. You know, you're gonna love your guitars, and if you play out and are a musician who plays out, it's gonna happen. You're gonna have some battle scars. Oh, 2 other things that are really cool about this guitar. One of the pickups is an actual PAF that was traded in, so that was pretty wild. There's kind of a low output, and the other pickup is a PRS Dragon, which is another really high quality, hard to find pickup. It sounds really good, and I love it very, very much. I don't know if you can hear my dog ruin like that. By the way, now's a good time to mention that I do showcase my boxer dog on this guitar channel a lot. So if you like guitars, boxer dogs, and even tarantulas, I have a tarantula collection too, which I'll show you at the end of this video, then be sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. We're slowly growing, and it's just a ton of fun. It's a hobby that I really enjoy showing off. Anyway, this is what this guitar sounds like. Okay, and the last electric guitar that I'm going to be showing off in this video is actually just a toy. This is a Jackson Rhodes Pink Flying V, you know, a entry-level guitar, but it was actually a gift to me for doing part of what we called the Playback Expo, which was just a music expo that Replay had put together with a lot of different rock stars. And this thing is actually signed by, well, it's signed by Green Jello, It's signed by Bumblefoot. It's signed by the guys from Mastodon. Head from Korn, which is kind of cool. And it just kind of hangs up in my studio and just looks nice. And people always ask about it. And nobody can read anybody's signatures on it, but I know that those guys signed it. But you can see these 3 little pigs on there from that Green Jello song. You know, little pig, let me in. I'm not going to play it. This guitar isn't tuned at all. And it's not a great guitar, but it is a cool wall piece. That is all of my electric guitars that I'm going to show off in this video, but I have some acoustics that I could show you. We'll start out with this one weird, dumb acoustic guitar, and then I'll show you some of the better stuff. So before I got serious about my YouTube channel, I had this video on there a long time ago. God, this thing is dusty. I had basically bought this guitar from an ex-police officer for like, I don't know, not a lot of money. I had this idea of doing the thing that they do in The Office where you take a jelly bean and you trade it up and up and up until eventually you have a Ferrari. And I actually have a video on that in the early days of my YouTube channel, which is super embarrassing. It's probably, I think it is still up on my channel if you dare to go back and look for that video. If somebody wanted this guitar, maybe eventually, maybe like when I hit 1,000 subscribers or something, I will just give this guitar away to someone. That would be kind of cool. Again, I need to make room, and I don't ever play this thing. And I'm going to be honest with you, it does have really high action that is kind of not really that fixable. So maybe this isn't a great giveaway. Maybe I'll give it away, but maybe I'll give something else away. But just know this isn't a great guitar. Listen. Ugh, sounds terrible. Before any of my high-end acoustic guitars came this guitar, which is also really dusty because it's just been sitting on the wall and I haven't played it in years. This is a Parkwood that my dad bought for me and was one of the first guitars that I ever had. This is an all solid top, kind of an unknown company called Parkwood. And me and Skylar, the singer and bass player in my band, actually, when we first moved, we would gig acoustically. This helped me pay rent so many times before, you know, I had a job working in a guitar shop or anything like that. It is jacked up. It's got like almost a hole in it. It's worn down. The action is ridiculously high. It is kind of like almost in an unplayable state, but it's just very sentimental to me, so I don't really want to get rid of it. But I did want to show it off for this video because it is an interesting guitar. And also, thank you, Dad, for getting me this guitar and kind of putting me into the path into the guitar world, really. Okay, the first nice acoustic guitar that I bought from Replay Guitar Exchange was this Taylor 322, because I always wanted like a dark wood acoustic guitar. This one is very similar to the Parkwood because it's a smaller size. It's a 322. It's not a full-size guitar, but it is perfect for me since I'm a short little dude, easy to hold and play. And this is one that I've been playing a lot because, I don't know, it always speaks to me. Like, this is the one I pick up around the house most when I'm just jamming or just need to get some ideas out. And I've been playing this one a lot on my TikTok, which, by the way, you can follow me on TikTok. It's just Riff with Cliff, or on my Instagram, Riff with Cliff. Okay, and one of my Mac Daddies. This is the final guitar that I'm actually showing off in this video. This is my Martin HD28. I bought this last year. It is a fantastic piece. It was traded in, and my friend Randy, who was actually working at Replay Guitar Exchange at the time, was like, dude, I know you've been looking for an HD28 for a long time. Well, here's your opportunity to get a pre-owned one, and I got a smoking deal on it. This guitar actually also just came back from being set up from my friend Charlie over at the shop. Take a listen to this. This thing is just huge. It is by far the loudest, most vibrant, warmest, fullest sounding acoustic, if not guitar, that I have, and just a very, very nice piece. I am totally happy that I have this in my collection, and if I could say that I have one end-all be-all guitar, this one's probably it. Oh yeah, baby. Okay, so also in my studio, I do collect tarantulas. So there is Jafar, I think he is a male. He's a Mexican red knee. We also have Yzma. This is a spiderling. I don't know if you can see her. She's kind of there in the corner right here. That is a Carabina versicolor. And here is another spiderling. This is a Grammostola pulchra, a little baby. Oh, there she is right there. Up here I have Ursula, who I have had for almost 10 years hanging out with me in the studio. Here I have, it's kind of hard to see. Oh, she's kind of hidden in there right now, but I have Maleficent, who is a Mexican red rump, and I collect spiders, and yeah, arachnids are really cool, and they're kind of rock and roll, and they just hang out with me here in the studio as well. You can also see a lot of these guys and some feeding videos on my TikTok. Okay, and quickly I'll go over my amp collection, but first we'll start off with, well, not an amp, but this guy is the Universal Audio Aux Box, and a warm welcome to my studio. If I don't want to run through my cabinet speakers, this will take the load of an amp and I can go straight into my studio monitors and actually give it different rooms, different rig sounds. I can run speaker level out of it, or I can just run line level out of it, or even headphones. And then on the app, you have different effects, delays, reverbs, mic choices, and this is a really cool choice, especially because sometimes the tarantulas don't like very loud amps, or if they're really hungry, I think that it might be sensitive to them. So when it's just going through my studio monitors, it is much easier for them to, well, digest. Right underneath it, I have this Friedman Small Box 50. It's basically like a Marshall on steroids, and I use this amp a lot, especially if I'm playing big, loud outside gigs, because it just sounds so damn good. I would love to collect more amps, but unfortunately, amps take up a lot of space. I'm actually more in the party of amps are way cooler than like digital modelers, although I understand digital modelers and I have some stuff that can do that kind of thing, but I will still always be an amp collector, which are very near and dear to my heart. Moving over here, we have this Peters amp, which I have a video on my YouTube channel about this amp here. It's like 5 watts of pure rock and roll. It does have a boost, and it is actually pretty aggressive. If you want to see this amp in action, be sure to go on my channel or just type in Peters amp. I think my thumbnail is really stupid or something, like check out my tiny Peters, because the thing's tiny, but the thing is it's pretty awesome. Right below it, we have the orange Rock Reverb 50 Mark II. This is not the Mark III. This one was traded in the first year that I worked at Replay. I always dreamed of getting one, and when one was traded in, I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm totally gonna get this. And I use it on a lot of gigs as well. You can see it does have a little bit of wear and stuff from me gigging out with it, but it's very cool. I bought these two matching, like a matching set of 112 orange cabs. They sound really good. Sometimes I chain them together and they just sound massive. Currently I have this one hooked up down here, and I have this actually going to the Universal Aux Box, but also to that speaker right here. The monitors that I use when I'm mixing or recording with my band, I picked up these Yamaha HS8s, but these are Zen Audio modded, where they took out the limiter, and they sound really good. They give a really nice stereo imaging. Down here I do have a subwoofer where everything is going, and that's my case for the ESP. I often run a Fender Blues Junior for demoing pedal videos on my YouTube channel, because this is a really clean amp and a really good way to, you know, hear what they sound like. This one again was traded in. Pretty much all my gear were trade-ins. I don't really buy anything new. The only thing that I did buy new was this Gibson Explorer, but pretty much everything else was a new instrument, or a pre-owned instrument. This here is a Tone Beast by Warm Audio, which is a preamp, and I'm going to talk about preamps hopefully in some coming videos. I haven't really got too much into recording on my channel. It's mostly been guitar related stuff, but if you are interested in seeing more recording and recording techniques, please let me know. Here is a vintage DBX 166 compressor. That's pretty cool. Now, I don't use it like too often, but every now and then I might run something through it. Below here I have a Pro VLA2 compressor as well. You can kind of see it's got the meters on it. But the preamp that I'm using most, and one of the best things that I ever bought for my studio, is this Focusrite ISA-1, which is a DI and a preamp. And this thing sounds so freaking cool. I love this. Other cool collectibles I have is I have this little Jimi Hendrix like guitar replica. One of the strings broke though. That's really unfortunate. I was also gifted this Dimebag Darrell candle, which is super dope. I have like some signed photos from like Ron Thal, Bumblefoot. Up top you could see one of the records that I did. I got Jackie Vincent. So a lot of cool artists who have come into replay over the years. Kiko from Megadeth. I got Brett Hines back there, if you can kind of see him. Here I have Nita Strauss. I have Greg Koch, Alex Skolnick, George Lynch, and Dave Ellefson. The Line 6 HX Stomp if I'm feeling lazy and I don't want to like mic up an amp or whatever. Sometimes I'll just come right out of this thing, and I pretty much always put it on like a Megadeth setting or something, unless I'm going for like a crazy effect. Let's talk about pedals. I have this pedal, which is a very unique, interesting pedal. This is the UFO Fuzz by Empath Audio, made in Amsterdam, and kind of a weird wild fuzz, and not one that you see too often. I have a video on that on my channel as well. My all-time favorite pedal is the Digitech Whammy. I actually use this thing way too much, so much so to the point where my band was like, dude, can you fuck off and stop using that pedal so much, because you're kind of killing it with that pedal. Recently, one of my latest videos, I did a video on the Boss vocoder, which I think I'm actually going to keep this pedal because it's like a talk box and a vocoder in one. Another warm welcome to my studio was buying this headlight. This is a really cool piece from Radial where you can take all of your amp heads and plug them into here, all your amps, and go out from there and into here. And then you can just put a mic in front of all of them, and then you can sum all of your amps together and get some really cool tones. So say you're like, oh, I really like the highs from my Orange amp, but I really like the lows from my Friedman. Well, now you can plug them both into there, and up to 4 amps and a tuner. It does allow you to like have a ground lift and phase controls, or I can mute them all at once, which is pretty cool. I have another signed Nita. This is a Mesa Boogie 412 cabinet. Sometimes I use it for recording, not too often. It's just kind of big. This was a gift given to me from my friend. A guy literally just came in, a friend of mine, it came into replay and was like, hey dude, do you want this? And I was like, how much do you want for it? And he was like, no, do you want it? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll take it. And then on the bottom here, I have a Marshall. It's a JCM 900 series 1960 slant lead cab. Its thing is beat. It's an old one and it sounds damn good. I actually kind of prefer that over this one. I think it is a little bit warmer sounding, and this one is a little bit more clarity in it, but for some reason I kind of tend towards that one when I am using it. I also have this here, Gibson Street. I don't know if that's illegal to own. Maybe I shouldn't hold that. Somebody told me that that might be illegal to own. I didn't take it. Somebody gave it to me, okay? Here you can see all of my guitar cases. There are a ton of them. There used to be more. I got rid of guitars. I'm getting rid of a ton of guitars. Up there I have a ton of guitar pedals. Nothing too crazy, nothing too special, but there is one pedal in here that I want to show off. This is a vintage deluxe electric Mistress, a unique beast of a pedal. I love this pedal so much. It sounds like old school Rush. It's a very cool one. Here is a talk box that I bought it pre-owned, which is, I know, to a lot of people absolutely disgusting. And yeah, even to me, it's pretty fucking gross. I cleaned it a lot. I ran a bunch of soap and water through it to make sure that that tube is clean, and yeah, it still kind of tastes like somebody spit in it. In there I have a little mandolin, but I don't know how to play mandolin, so I won't show it off. And in there I have my little microphone locker, which you can check out on my YouTube channel. So that is my complete collection. Oh, and also I'm a big fan of Friday the 13th. That is most of, if not all of, my home studio collection. The reason, like I said, that I'm doing this video is because somebody said that my collection was really cool and that I should show it off, so I decided to do that. I've had actually a couple people comment on it, but let me know what you think, if you think I need to add anything. I think the thing that I'm going to try to add next is actually an outboard compressor, because sometimes I do spoken word or like tutorials, and I think a little bit of compression on my voice going in would sound really nice. Eventually I would also like to start a podcast and do that kind of stuff, just talk about gear and things within this industry that I find unique or interesting. We're in August right now, 2024, at the making of this video, but my son is born at the end of the year. In just a couple of months I'm going to be getting a new studio, because this is going to be my baby's room, and well, until he learns how to play guitar, this stuff has to go. Maybe I could teach him how to play bass, and then I'll have a bass room and a guitar room. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please subscribe and give me a like. Let me know what you think in the comments. Of course, feel free to follow me on Instagram, Riff with Cliff, or on TikTok, Riff with Cliff. I'm always posting cool stuff, and I'm just enjoying life and enjoying guitars. It's probably the longest video that I've ever made on my YouTube channel, so I'm going to go edit this now. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Peace.